Hey guys, so this video is about how to do this fraction multiplication problem here. It's pretty complicated. It involves factoring, a couple different kinds of factoring. We're gonna have to factor this piece here on the top right. We're gonna have to factor this piece here on the bottom left. And we're gonna also have to cancel out some stuff with this 8x squared and with this 2x. So it's quite a few steps. Let's go ahead and get started. The hardest part is going to be this top right, this x cubed minus 125. You have to remember that this is the difference of two cubes, and we call that a cubed minus b cubed. And there's a formula for this. If your two factors both have cube roots. So you can see like this x cubed minus 125 part. A cubed has to correspond to x cubed. So that means x corresponds to a, the x cubed, and the b cubed has to correspond to 125. So that means b is going to be 5, because that's like 5 cubed is 125. So I found my a value and my b value. A is going to be x, and b is going to be 5 for this equation. Now we have to remember that the difference of two cubes like this, the formula for that is a cubed minus b cubed is equal to parentheses a minus b times a squared plus a b plus b squared. So that's kind of a lengthy formula. I'll show it to you here. A cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So if we're going to say a is x and b is 5, remember we just figured that stuff out right here, then this formula would read a cubed minus b cubed, or x cubed minus 125, is equal to parentheses x minus 5 times x squared plus a times b, which is 5x, plus b squared, which is 5 squared, so that's 25. Okay, so basically, this x cubed minus 125, we've factored it, x cubed minus 125, that's the same thing as x minus 5 times x squared plus 5x plus 25. And yes, actually that looks more complicated, but this piece over here, the x minus 5 times x squared plus 5x plus, that's the factored version. So we're gonna hold on to that, but this is the factored version. So we're gonna hold on to that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try and work out this. What is x squared minus 25? There's a formula for that too. It kind of looks like a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b times a plus b. And we can see that this x squared minus 25 fits the pattern because x could be a. Right? It has to say a squared. So we can make a equal to x, and we can make b correspond to 5. So that this equation reads x squared minus 25 when x is equal to a and b is equal to 5. And that means the factored version of x squared minus 25 is going to be x minus 5, right? A minus b is going to be x minus 5 times a plus b, which is x plus 5. Now, if you notice, if you FOIL this together, you're going to get back your x squared minus 25. So this is, in fact, the factored version of x squared minus 25. Okay, so we just factored two different things, right? We just did like 2 steps. We're going to substitute all those things back in for our fraction. So this is going to now be 8x squared over x squared minus 25 actually becomes x minus 5 times x plus 5. And then that's being multiplied by, okay, over here we have x cubed minus 125, but we factored that. It's going to become x minus 5 times x squared plus 5x plus 25. Looks complicated. Okay, over 2x. Okay, now we're going to start canceling stuff out. We're going to notice immediately it's a good thing that we factored everything, right? Because we have this x minus 5 and we have this x minus 5. That was the point of the factoring exercise. We're trying to cancel this out. Okay, now I'm also noticing we can cancel out the 8 and the 2. All right, 8 over 2 is the same thing as just having a 4 on top. All right, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, now we might also notice that this x squared can cancel out one of these x's. All right, x squared is actually x times x. So an x squared, like one of these x's can cancel out one of those x's, and you're left with an x up there. Okay, so the final answer is going to be 4x, see that's what we have left over here, is a 4 times an x times what's over here on the right, the x squared plus 5x plus 25 over just x plus 5. Okay, and that's our answer. So we had to factor all the pieces, and then we had to cancel out what was common on the top and the bottom from the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so I made up one more example here, and I was thinking we could do that. It's going to be very similar, right? See, so we have a difference of cubes here. We have a difference of squares there on the top right. So I've rearranged it a little bit. I've changed the numbers, but it's basically the same kind of problem. Just adding a little light here. Okay. So let's begin factoring. We'll do the hardest one first. X cubed minus 27. So x cubed. I'll do it up here. X cubed minus 27. This fits the pattern of an a cubed minus a b cubed, where x corresponds to a and b. You might have to think about this. B cubed has to equal 27. So that means like what number cubed is equal to 27? And the answer is 3. 3 cubed is 27. 3 times 3 times 3. So that means A corresponds to X and B corresponds to 3. And then we have to remember that the factored version of A cubed minus B cubed is A minus B, parentheses, times A squared plus AB plus B squared. And that's a formula, basically it's from algebra, like someone figured it out a long time ago and we're just remembering it. Someone wrote it down. So I didn't figure this out. I didn't like deduce this by pure logic. It's just a formula that we have to remember for things that look like A cubed minus B cubed. Okay, so if we plug in our X and our 3 for A and B, we're going to get the factored version of this equation is A minus B, which is going to be X minus 3 times A squared, which is actually just X squared, plus A times B, which is actually X times 3, or 3X, plus B squared, which is 3 squared, so 9. So the factored version of X cubed minus 27, actually I'm just going to go ahead and write the next step here. So on the bottom left there, that X cubed minus 27 is now going to become X minus 3 times X squared plus 3X plus 9. All that should be under this fraction here. Should have extended a little bit or something, but okay. And then on the top is going to be that 18x. Okay, on the bottom is going to be that 21x squared. And on the top, we need to factor that x squared minus 9. So x squared minus 9 corresponds to a formula we saw up here, which is the a squared minus a b squared. So the a is going to correspond to x, and the b is going to correspond to b squared equals 9. So what number squared is equal to 9? And the answer is 3. So if we plug in our a is equal to x and our b is equal to 3, we're going to find out that our factored version of x squared minus 9, oh yeah, another formula for this is a minus b times a plus b. So that means x squared minus 9, if we plug everything into this formula, is going to be x minus 3 times x plus 3. So basically that means that's going to go right here. We're going to have a x minus 3 times x plus 3. Okay, so now that we have simplified everything, or rather we have factored everything, we're going to start canceling things out, and we're going to try and simplify this fraction. So you might notice already it was a good thing that we did the factoring, because this x minus 3 is going to cancel out on top and bottom, so that's good. Let's see, does anything else cancel out? Oh yes, 18 over 21. Let's see, what can we do about 18 over 21? We can divide those both by 3, I believe. So if we divide these both by 3, 18 over 3 is going to be, so we're going to just have a 6 on top, and 21 divided by 3 is, well, that's 7, so we're going to have a 7 on the bottom. And you might also notice that this x can cancel out one of these x squareds, so this x can turn this x squared just down into an x, so we're just going to have that x down there. Actually, we might have 7 times x, 7x down there. Okay, so now that we've canceled out everything that will cancel out, let's write our final answer. So on the top we have a 6 over there on the left and an x plus 3 on the right. So what we have is a 6 times an x plus 3. And then on the bottom, I'm going to write this part first. I'm going to put it in front. So we're going to have a 7 times x. We're going to have a 7x times, and then we also have this factor, which is x squared plus 3x plus 9. Okay, again, all of that should be one fraction. It looks like, I mean, one thing you could do is multiply those by 6. So you get 6x plus 18. But I think this is good. I think this is going to be our answer. Looks nice. So yeah, that's how you factor these algebraic fractions. And they're a little tricky, and you have to know several types of factoring to get it done. That's how it works.